All right. Let's see here. I have to probably employ some sort of cat distractions. Oh. All right. Good morning to anyone and everyone. First of all, welcome and thanks for hanging out this morning. Get a few more of these things shuffled around here. Go. All right. For anyone that's new, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord, and I stream. I stream every week. At this time, usually working on CircuitPython stuff. Awesome. Okay, hold on. Everything is broken all at once, and the cat wants my attention. Also, why is the keyboard broken? Okay, this is why the keyboard's broken. Do cat attention. A little bit of octopus time in. Let's see. So, okay. Yes, my name is Tim. I am working on CircuitPython stuff. I usually stream at this time every week, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you can usually find me around this time. Working on CircuitPython stuff. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, it's basically a version of Python that can run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. Today, I am going to be working with the, I think that's a Feather S3, which is actually easier to find if we search TFT. Feather S3 TFT is the one I have today, but all of these devices are basically just little computers on a tiny little board, and the way they work when you use CircuitPython with them is they will show up like a thumb drive when you plug it into your computer. On that thumb drive, it'll have a Python code file. You can edit the code in that file and save it, and then when you save it, the CircuitPython program that's actually running on this tiny chip will read and execute the Python code inside there. So that is like the core concept, so to speak, of what we're working with. In particular today, what I have queued up, you might have seen earlier, is this game, which is built into a cardboard box that I am calling Blinka Says, named after Simon Says, because it is a game that is like Simon. I will need to find this USB cable. Carefully figure out how to get it over to here. To plug it in. And in this game, basically, it works a lot like the sort of, it's not really a board game, I guess, but the electronical game, Simon, where it's going to light up these buttons. Each one has a light inside of it. It's going to light them up in a random order, and it's your job to kind of try to match the order that it gives you. So you have to follow along in your head and see which ones light up, and then on your turn you have to press the buttons to match the same sequence that lit up before. And then you just try to go as long as you can. And each time that you succeed, each time that you make it to the end of the sequence without messing up, then the next sequence will be one longer. So that's how the game kind of gets harder as you progress, and eventually we might do speed as well. Right now it's a steady rate of speed, I'm pretty sure, but eventually we could make it to where it's like getting faster the higher level you are. First thing I'm going to do is actually just grab a backup of the device, which is also going to have backup of this project on it. S3, also let me do this. Let me also, before I jump all the way straight in, let's head back to here and let's say, yeah, CircuitPython.org. Again, if you're new and you want to learn more, that's the place to go there, CircuitPython.org. CircuitPython is open source. Anyone's allowed to use it. Anyone is allowed to make a port for your device for it, or even a device that's not yours. You can just find a device in the world and make a port of CircuitPython for that device. You know, as long as it has supported hardware and everything, anyone's allowed to do that. And Adafruit is the hardware and software company based out of New York that kind of makes that possible by paying the team who works on CircuitPython. So the CircuitPython project itself is all open source, free to use, published online. You can grab it and do, you know, more or less whatever you want within the terms of the license. Adafruit is a company that makes that possible by paying the team who work. There's a team of folks who work on the project full time and are paid to do so. And there are some folks like me that are paid to work part-time on the CircuitPython project and the surrounding stuff. And Adafruit's, you know, doing that. So huge thanks to them as always. And if you want to help support CircuitPython and Adafruit, one of the easiest ways you can do it is just purchase hardware on their website, which is adafruit.com. You can get not only the microcontroller devices that run CircuitPython, you can also get all sorts of other sort of peripherals and accessories and things that you can hook up to your microcontroller and interact with in various different ways. So check out their store for all sorts of fun toys. And where we are at here, if anyone is interested in the sort of prequel, so to speak, to this, I did work on this the other day. I think it was Monday. So if you are interested in this project, you can go back and watch the VOD for that. And that's where I put together the beginning part of the code that we're about to work on. So where I'm at now is some kind of doing some more embellishments and stuff beyond the just basic core functionality. Right now, the game does function, but that is it. It only functions. It does nothing particularly more interesting than that. How's it going, Dagvorsa, over on Twitch? Nice to see you, my friend. So we're going to add some, I think, animations to the LEDs before the game starts. We're going to make use of the screen. We're going to try to add scorekeeping and high score, and we'll see how long all of that stuff takes. If we still have time after that, then I will kind of go with whatever I'm inspired to do next. Maybe work on the difficulty a bit or something, but we'll see once we get the first couple of things knocked out. So I think I'm going to start with the display. Right now we're not doing anything on the display at all. It's just in its default mode, so to speak, in CircuitPython, which is going to cause it to print the serial output, which in our case is just some print messages of some stuff that's happening. What we want to do, though, is actually take control of the screen and show the score on it, maybe some other stuff, but we'll start with the score. Let's grab display IO, and, let's do a from. I go back and forth on this. Sometimes I like from, and then sometimes I like just import and then, thing dot, whatever. Let's do a from. We're going to get group. We're going to get... Is group all we need? I'm sure we need something else, but we'll need a palette. We do want text. So I know one of the things I want to show is going to be text. So I'm going to go ahead and do display text dot bitmap label import label. I think now that's maybe all we need. Let's see how it goes. I'll put some of this stuff below here, which is a bit more initialization. So I'm going to make a main group. Main group is a new group, and we will. We have game state. Then we have our two async functions. And then we have some LED pin setup, and then we have our main async function, and then we call it, and that's it. Where does it make sense to set up the display stuff? I guess just back here, honestly. So we made a group. To that group, we're going to add a label, which is a way to show text. And so we will say maybe I'm gonna go ahead and actually add two. Spiraling out of control now. So I think I'm actually going to bump to I just said two, but I think I'm actually going to add four. I'm going to add one that is a label, like is conceptually a label that labels some information. It's going to have the word high or maybe high score in it. And then below that or associated with it somewhere is going to be the high score value, which I'm going to put in a different label because I want it to have a different size font. I want the number to be bigger than the label, the value to be bigger than the label. Unfortunately, the name of the class is also label, but yeah. I mean, that's not really unfortunate, it's just how it is, but unfortunate for trying to explain it. So I'm gonna be making four of them. So I'm gonna have high score, I'm gonna call it label equals a label, which is going to have, what all does it need? It needs text, but the first thing is font, I think. So that's going to be, yes, terminal IO built-in font. So I'll need to import that. Maybe that'll do it for me, actually. That's the font. We're just going to use built-in for now. And then we'll say the text on this one can just be hard-coded. I'm going to put high for now. I'm not sure how big it's going to turn out. We don't want it to be too huge. We are working with a relatively small screen, all things considered. I think it's 240 by 135 or something like that. Maybe, I don't know the exact size, but it's not super huge. We could print out the size, I guess, if we want, right? Here's one more thing we could do actually is display for display. Let's go ahead and print it just for future's sake. Width is display.width. Height is display height. Print it out just for later. Text. I'm going to make this one scale 2. Just see how big that is. And I think I am going to put it on the right. I think the right makes sense for the high score, and then maybe the left for the current score. So I basically want this to be in the top right corner of the display, maybe out a little bit from there, but something like that. So I'm going to say, I like to use anchor point and anchor position to set these things. So I'm going to say my anchor point is going to be in the x-axis 1.0, the far right edge. In the y-axis, I'm going to go 0.0, the top edge. And then high score label.anchored position is going to be the display width, the far right edge of the display, maybe minus like, I don't know, let's try just 4 or something. And then we want the top, but we also want to come maybe 4 down from the top, which in that case, it's actually positive 4. So we'll just say 4. All right, we have a label. We need to add it to the group, main group.append the high score label. And then finally, we can say display root group equals main group. Should be enough to get that running. I think I have auto reload turned off. So let's get TO. Is that flags that I see? Is sorry, undescribed. I'm not sure what flags you mean, but feel free to unsubscribe. That's okay. Yeah, not sure what flags. Maybe you mean the flags on Adafruit's homepage, in which case I definitely fully support those too. So if that's a problem, then yeah, feel free to head out. We need flags in the code. Yeah, I'm not really sure what you mean, but you may have left already, in which case, so long. Thanks for hanging out while you did. We do have 241.35 and yeah, high score there. Okay. It's still pretty small. It's legible. I mean, you're not going to be playing from super far away. The camera is not focused too great on it, but I think that's probably okay for now. I'm just going to grab and make a whole new label as well here. So this will just be cur score label. All right, or maybe should we just say score or in high? We just have score and high score. Cur score. Okay, we have 135 pixels vertical to play with. We could probably use 2 lines. Let's say current score here, and let's say high score here. This one we want on the left side, so the anchor point will be 0, 0, and we will be positive 4 on both of those. So we'll just say top left corner, basically. We don't have auto reload still. Oops. I don't know. I don't like the second row. I think score is implied. Let's just put current and high. There is like I forgot what it's called off the top of my head. There is like a line height. Maybe it's called line height. There's a way to make it scrunch a little taller, but yeah, I think I like that better. And then we'll make the numbers bigger and they'll go below those. So we'll say cur score val for value. We'll start on 0. We will go scale at least 3, maybe 4. Let's see what 3 looks like. So I think like 2 digits is probably like the likely maximum for a human playing this game. It would be very difficult for a person to memorize a sequence of over 100. Not impossible. I'm sure a person could do it if they like focused on it, but especially if we did implement a mode where it's progressive, like each one adds on to the end of the same sequence, then you're reinforcing it each time. You have a much better chance of getting to 100. In the random mode, which is what I've got now, that sounds very difficult. So we don't necessarily need... I don't think I need to support too many more than 2 digits. If we had enough room for 3 digits, that should be more than enough. And I think we can probably end up picking it up higher than scale 3, but let's see where we end up on this. We'll make a high score val. All right. Let's make this a bit bigger, actually. Let's just hard code some 9s to see what it's going to look like. So the current score is going to be on the left, but it's going to be down further than 4. We want it to be below the current score label. We could just like kind of guess and check hard code. It's probably 10, 20-ish pixels. Or we could calculate it exact. There was actually a PR that fixed the height and the width, I think. So there is bounding box. Yeah. Let's do it this way. It's gonna be, I don't know. I may end up changing this. It's kind of a lot of code for what it's gonna actually do for us in the end. But so that's a bounding box has got X, Y, width, height. So that's gonna be the Y value of the cur-score label. So we want to take the Y value and add to it the height, cur-score label bounding box height. So X, Y, width, height, that's going to be 3. And then we also will add 4 to keep that 4 pixels of margin, basically. And then for this one, it's actually basically the same, but it's going to be the high score label instead of the cur-score label. And the other thing that we still want to change is high score is on the right, so that's going to be different as well. It's going to be back to this. And the anchor point too. Should be 1.0 here. Okay, let's see where that. Oh, bounding box doesn't take into account scale. So we would need to multiply the height times the scale. We are really getting to a pretty crazy equation for just these purposes. I could use it's like there's a linear layout. I could use table layout, or I think it's called grid layout. Actually didn't fill in the proper one of these. This should have been high score label, but it also doesn't actually end up mattering because both of the label ones are the same height. So we could actually swap one for the other in this equation and it wouldn't make a difference because they have the same height. They're on opposite sides of the screen, but that doesn't matter for this part. Hey, whoa, what? Oops. Okay. I think the biggest thing now is we definitely can go bigger. And also, I think I want more than 4 padding. Like, what does 10 look like? We need to reload. Yeah, 10, I think I like that better. And we can definitely go bigger. Let's try scale 4. Reload. That's probably it right there, right? That's probably it, I think. Let me see what 5 looks like, but probably 4 is the answer. Yeah. I think 4 is the answer, mainly because they're like almost close enough that it starts to look like one number. I mean, there's no comma or anything. Basically, they're just getting just a tad too close to each other in the middle for my taste. So I think 4 is definitely better. I get the other thing I think that throws me off to an extent is the fact that high is smaller than current, so then the relative size becomes different. Maybe we could think of a different. We could do cur, C-U-R-R. Let's do that. It's not really the best practice to kind of just randomly abbreviate that way, but let's leave it. We have enough room, honestly. Not that big a deal that they're not the same. We could maybe put spaces after high to like scooch it over. Well, we have its anchor point as well. We could just scooch it. This needs 1. Yeah, I do like that look with it scooched just a hair further off the wall. I mean, again, you're not likely to get to 3 digits, so it's never probably going to be lined up in the center like it is where I'm looking at it here. But I do actually like that it's pulled just a hair further off since current is a much longer word. Okay. So let's go back to, so the values, we're going to start those on 0 for the cur score, and then just empty string for the high score. And then whenever you get a score, we'll add 1 to the cur score, which we have score on the game state. So we are probably maybe already advancing it. So player action. Yeah. Game score here, we're already advancing by 1 the score and the difficulty. We can also just per score label, note value. Then we can go text equals game state dot score. So that should make it so that the score counts up as we play. Let's double check if it works. We need to press a button to start. Red. Int object has no find. Set text. I think I need to pass it to string. Doesn't like when you set an int. You know, it'd be nice though, actually, if we would modify the the setter in here to, if you pass it an int, turn it into a string. It's part of the downside of having the label be separate from the value. If I had only one text, input, and then if I put the label and the value into a single one, nice, there we go. Blue, green, okay. Blue, okay, I barely got that down. I'm not sure if it counted. It did, okay, nice. We got red, green, green. Yellow, red, blue, green. I think it was blue, red, green, blue, red? Yeah. Red, yellow, blue, green, blue, blue. Red, yellow, blue, green, blue, blue. I don't think I got it. I'm not sure. It's like... I think we don't have anything. Yeah, we have player lost, but we have no visual there. Let's make some visual. So we probably want. We probably want like a whole like game over message. Maybe even a group, honestly. Maybe we have a whole separate group for when game is over, or we could just put game over at the bottom. Yeah, I don't want to do a separate group because I actually like the idea of you being able to see the most recent score and then also the high score. So and we're only using the top half of the display. So we can just put game over on the bottom half. Game over. I will just call this one label as well. Game over scale is going to be 2, the same as the labels there. We'll see. Maybe 3. I don't want it to be too big. I want the numbers to still be clearly the biggest thing. So we'll see how this looks. So anchor point, I'm going to center this one at the bottom. So my Y will be 1 and my X will be 0.5. Position. That's going to be half of the display width. And then the height minus a couple. We want it near the bottom, basically. But we also only want to show it when the game is actually over, so we're going to say hidden true. And then here in player lost, you go hidden false. I think we also want to return to the waiting to start state, or do we want to have a new state? let's go with that one for now and see if we end up wanting it to be different. Okay, that should... You should probably also have like a lockout. Or maybe just a short time period, so that if you're trying to like do a sequence, you do it wrong, but you're like, you know, in the groove or whatever, and you're pushing the buttons fast. We don't want that like very first like fast button press technically after you lost to just start the next game right away, right? After you lose, we eventually want to get back to the waiting to start state, which is what we're in here, which is waiting for us to press a button. But we do want a little bit of leeway. We want it so that if you like are pressing the button kind of as part of your attempt in the previous run, but you happen to mess up, we don't want that to advance you, which is tough because that's about the user's intention, which is obviously not necessarily something that we have direct access to, but we'll have to try to infer it. All right, I am going to lose fairly quick on this one. Get one more here. All right, and this time I'm going to lose. Okay, that can go bigger. Let's see if the restart works though. So I should be able to like press again. Yeah. Okay, but so it started a new game, but it didn't actually reset anything. So it needs to actually go back and reset the score to 0. It needs to reset the difficulty to 0. Yeah, because right now it basically picked up where it left off, essentially. Okay, so one thing we can do also is we know whenever we start the game, we can hide the game over label. Blinka action. Okay, I want player action. Waiting to start, starting game. Here we're gonna game over label dot hidden equals true, so that if the game over label is showing, we want to hide it whenever we start the next game. And then when do we want to reset everything? At the end of the game or at the beginning of the next game? I think at the end. So I'm just going to go here, score equals 0. Difficulty equals what? How's it going, Tithe? If down is up to 3/4 second after the game ends, then flag dodgy press. If key is up within 2.5 seconds, the game and dodgy press, flag, then ignore. Also, if dodgy press is true, then make the start time longer. By the way, mobile data, so here loosely. Good Good to see you, first of all. And yeah, I think something like that where we add a little bit of like leeway of time like that. Yeah, so it'll kind of be like right after the game ends, there'll be a lockout of little zone there, 1 or 2 seconds. And then after that, you'll be able to press the button to start the new game. Should we say like, should we have something that says press button to start? I mean, I think it's fairly obvious. There's only 4 buttons for input, so it's kind of like, as a user, there's only so many things you can do when you first get to it. So I feel like pressing a button is pretty natural. It might be nice for it to say, but we'll see. Game state, we want difficulty to 0. So score and difficulty right now are actually basically the same. But I do think eventually I'm going to change the score. In fact, maybe now's the time. You know what would be cool for the score? What if, so right now the score represents the level, basically, like essentially how many lights were turned on in the sequence that you're currently on, or that you have most recently defeated, I suppose. But what if the score was actually like a per button that you got right? So that way it goes up higher, faster. We could also potentially add some modifiers for time or something. Like if you do it really fast, maybe you get a bonus. And if you do it slower, then you don't get the bonus, but you do still get the points per button press or something. That could be kind of fun. Let's see if the actual reset does work correctly. Red. Green, red. I'm just gonna yellow, game over. So now it's waiting for the reset. And it's still showing the score, because notice while I did set score to 0, I did not actually update the label. I didn't actually say score value.text equals. That's only down here, which is currently only when you pass a level, which actually means it's not gonna update when I do this. Okay, so we actually do want it to update then. So that's when a game starts. Starting game, score value text equals game state score. And let's start counting it up some more here. So let's say every time you press a button correctly, which is right here, when we pop it out of the sequence, let's also just go score +1, and let's update the score value. We need to string that though, because we crashed it earlier without. Actually, I need to do that. We just added another one of those. Yeah, right here, that needs to be. We could make a property accessor for score, I guess. Game state is a, oops. Game state's an object we control. Could turn it into a string. I really think the fix, though, is on the display text side. Display text, I think, should just let you use an int instead of a string. All right, red. Oh, interesting. Why did it go to 2? Oh, because we got 1 at the end of the round. Yeah, it is still giving you 1 at the end of the round. Do we want that one? Yeah, I think so. I mean, the whole point was to try to make the score go up a bit. Although, if we do make the score go up faster, we could be making it a little bit more feasible for a human to get to the 3 digits. I think that's all right. We got room still. I mean, even with 3 digits, there was still enough room between. You got to 5 digits, you might start getting to the point where they're touching in the middle or getting close to touching the middle again, but you'd have to have it in both the current and the high score too. I think that's fine. I'm not going to have like multipliers, like multiply your current score. Maybe we could have multiplier for the level or something, like if you complete the level in under, you know, whatever we say is a fast time, 1 second or 2 seconds or whatever, then maybe you get like a 2x multiplier for that level, but not for the entire, you know, your current score. So we should be going up like fairly linearly-ish. We shouldn't be going parabolic, I don't think. And yeah, I think it's fine. I think I like the one at the end there. So now I've got 3, and it's waiting for my second press here. That's going to bump us to 4, and then actually 5 for finishing the round. Three down here? Not actually sure on this one. Nope. Okay, so there's one where I totally missed that I actually failed and got a game over, but then I was like I was pressing buttons and I bounced us past. So let's add the little sort of fudge time here. How do we want to work that? Let's say let's on the game state, let's have a value called button cooldown time. Gonna start it on -1. And what we're gonna do is when we are in the waiting to start state, we're gonna add logic here that says, doesn't matter really if it's inside or outside. We're going to say if game state cooldown time is less than time.monotonic. So basically, if the cooldown time is equal to or greater than the current time, we will ignore button presses while we are in the waiting to start state. So then what we'll do is when the game ends, we'll add a little bit to the current time and store it in there. So when the player loses right here, we'll say cooldown time equals time.monotonic. So now plus, it is in seconds. So let's say 1.5. Let me try. I don't want it to be too long because I don't necessarily want you to have to wait on it either. Like, by the time the human does want to intentionally move on, I want them to be able to. Ooh, that's tricky. Oh, I double pressed that one. I didn't mean to. Was it a double blue? I didn't catch it, I guess. Wait, what? So that was a green yellow. That was only 2 lights. But we shouldn't be on 4 points. We only have 2 lights. Should be on 2 points. Three reds. Somehow we're behind by 1, aren't we? So the first round, like at the end of the first round, if you succeed, you should be on 2 points. And then 2 lights should light up after that. So if you succeed the next round, second round, you should get 2 points for your 2 button presses and then a third for ending the round. That should put you at 5 at the end of round 2 if you're successful. But I was on 4 because my round 2 only had 1 light. I'm behind by 1 light for some reason. The difficulty somehow didn't go up. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so green. We are on 2. Green, yellow. And we're on 5. We're up to difficulty 3 after. Yeah, that is. Is there any way, like a double press? So I totally forgot the color. Was it red, yellow, yellow? Holy crap, it was. Blue, green, yellow, green. So I double pressed green and it didn't make me lose. So what happened is on the first green press, that was actually the last one in the sequence, which meant that it changed to Blinka's turn. And during Blinka's turn, we ignore the buttons. We don't have any logic in here. I don't know how that could have happened. Also don't know at all what the sequence was anymore. Just did a difficulty 4 or something. So the reset didn't work. So difficulty at the start of Blinka's turn. We're going to print green, blues, but I'm actually just going to say blue, yellow, which is going to be a game over. Then start again. Difficulty start of Blinka's turn was 0. The difficulty at start of Blinka's turn was 0, but I'm pretty sure it lit up 2 lights, I think, didn't it? Yeah, green, blue. Sequence? Sequence. We need to empty sequence. We need to empty sequence, because if we don't, then it's going to be half filled with whatever we had from before. Best viewers on? No, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, that's probably the answer to all of this, is we had leftover items in the sequence. So whenever we reset all of this stuff, we should say sequence empty. Otherwise, you get leftovers. All right, green, blue, yellow, yellow, green. I didn't see anything besides yellow, green. I can cheat actually though, because over there it says yellow, green, yellow. Red, yellow, red, red. But I'm actually just going to lose with blue, which means all of those things should still be in the sequence, but we should reset. I don't know if I double pressed. No, something weird happened, because game over is still visible, but Blinka already played. What? Oh, okay. Hold on. We set that to empty. That's checking for 0. We shouldn't be in that state until... We don't go to Blinka state until we press... Does the cooldown? Maybe the cooldown lockout is not working. Because somehow we got into state Blinka turn, but our game over label is not hidden. Also, how would we end up on 1? Did we lose again? Oh, we might be, are we giving them a, are we giving them a point for the wrong? No. I don't know. All right, let's... Red was the only one. I'm just going to press yellow right away. So I pressed yellow right away. Player lost. Difficulty at the end of level 1 was 1. Okay, I get it. We set... Okay, we set this to empty right here, and then right afterwards we say, if it's empty, then give them the +1. So we should only do this check if they were successful. We should not do this check if they were unsuccessful. They pressed a button that was incorrect. This should only happen here. Because basically they can't finish the level without pressing a button correctly. The very last action to happen in a level being finished is pressing a correct button. Red, yellow, blue. So I'm going to do red, yellow, yellow, and I'm going to double press yellow relatively fast, but the cooldown should make it so that we don't start the next game. Nice. Yeah. So then at this point, I've definitely waited out the cooldown so we could press a button to start again. Except for we crashed it still. Index out of range. Somehow we ended up with an empty list still. Oh, difficulty needs to be 1, not 0. Because for I in range 0 doesn't actually loop. Difficulty starts on 1, probably. Wherever we create this. Yeah, we started on 1. Should maybe store the initial difficulty and then reset back to that, but... Green, red. Purple, blue. I don't know why this printed 3 times. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Because each... because this... Basically, it's going to print for each light that blinks. Each iteration through here is actually just one light blinking. We're on the 3rd level, the 3rd difficulty, therefore we had 3 lights blink. Yeah, okay. Red, red, yellow, yellow. Sorry, hopefully that wasn't too loud. Blue, red, blue, blue. Blue, red, red, yellow, red. I'll end it by doing a blue. Oh, I should have double pressed or something. That's all right. Maybe, no. I was gonna say maybe we should switch current back to 0 at the end of the cooldown period, but it's actually not that easy to do something at the end of the cooldown period. Yeah. Maybe eventually I'll still do it, but I'm gonna leave it for now. Okay. What do I want to work on next? I think next let's work on I want like a ready set go animation when it's time to start the game. So how do we want to do this? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. So right now, when you press the button, it just immediately starts the next game, which means like, you know, relatively instantaneously after you have pressed the start button, the first light is lighting up. What I would like to do though is when you press the button, I would like to make all the lights turn on maybe like twice or 3 times, like all on and then off and then on again for a shorter period of time, and then off and then blink on and then off, and then we actually play the first one. So I want like a kind of a countdown type effect where they're getting faster and it's like letting you know that the game is about to start. You need to pay attention soon. Because right now you pretty much need to be paying attention as soon as you press the button, otherwise you could miss the first one. So, I mean, we could just do this here. Like, we're already here generating the sequence, and that happens... Well, no, we don't want to do that, though, because that's actually... So, yeah, we don't want to interrupt the flow of the game, though, right? This is only when you're starting the game, actually. So that's actually only here. So here we basically want the countdown blinks. And I'm gonna say we turn all of them on. I'm gonna use a for loop. Oh, LEDs. Maybe turn on blue, red, then turn off red, turn on yellow, turn off yellow, turn on green. I don't want to have them on individually, because then it makes it potentially easy to get confused and think that that's part of the turn. So I think having them all blink, like all be on at once, is nice, because that's like not something that happens during normal gameplay, where if there's any like turn on 2 and then turn off 1, if I'm understanding correctly, there's like maybe a period there where it looks like there's 1 that's on. I guess it could be pretty instantaneous still, but I want to keep it, I think, with all 4 of them on during this portion of it, so that you're hopefully not tricked into thinking that it's part of the sequence. If that makes sense. We'll say for each of the LEDs, I'm going to go LED value true. And then we'll do an await sleepy. But I'm going to just hard code some different times. So LED on time, that is in milliseconds. Yeah. I'm going to say... So I want 3 blinks. I think I'm going to go 600 milliseconds. On. $300 milliseconds off. And then 300 milliseconds on. So that's half speed, or double speed, I guess. And then off, like a real short blink next. So one question is, do we go off for a full 300 milliseconds again, or do we blink that lower as well? Idea was to keep on blue throughout. I see what you're saying. So you'd always have at least 2. Keep it from being misunderstood, just like red, yellow, green progression. Oh, I see. I see. Red, yellow, green. Okay. I had not thought of that. Red, yellow, green. It's a good way to do ready, set, go as well. Okay, so that's on, and then we go finally back off at the end. Grab that. See if that actually works. I don't think I ran it. Crashed. Can't set attribute value. Maybe that's only the key, I guess? I don't know. It's kind of annoying. I'm assuming that's the problem. I don't usually loop dictionaries directly. I thought that would loop over the values, but I guess not. Must be a better way to do this. Should probably just have a turn all on, turn all off function that has this inside. Let's see if it works though. All right, go refactoring it. There we go. Ooh. We turned to Blinka's turn before we did all of this, and they kind of like stepped on each other's toes. We want to not We want to not go to Blinka's turn until after all these blinks happen. And we should actually... Didn't we already have a... Oh, that's here, okay. Yeah, we already have a 1000 millisecond sleep there as well, okay. Try this. There we go. Ah, no, the last bit there, it's... Okay, that one looked pretty good. I can kind of see them individually, though. Okay, I do think the last one should stay off for longer. So here, that should be off for 300 instead of 1. And I also think that the 600 might be too long. Let's try 5 and 250. For the on time. So half a second, and then a quarter second, and then a tenth of a second for the on times. Okay, I also want to try it once looking at the LEDs, because the other thing that could be happening here is like, this is streaming over Wi-Fi. There's some chance maybe we're catching frames that's making it look more sequential than it does to the naked eye. So let me, I'm gonna stand up actually and get a good look at it top down. Okay, yeah. Let me try again, but I did not see any sequential. Yeah, that totally does not. I do not get that individual sequence effect at all. They're just all on, all off to the human eye, like naked eye, I should say. I almost don't necessarily like the actual sequence though. So I thought that I would like it with the last one being the shortest, like getting faster each time. But I actually don't necessarily like the way the last one feels. Yeah. I think I like that better. Yeah, I think that's it. Slide between YB firing and green red when start with the yellow button. So I think that the only lag is in the camera, like the camera that's viewing this. Because when I look directly at it, they are just blink all four on, blink all four off, blink all four on. There's no... I think I see what you're saying when you look here on the display, like the feed that's coming through the camera. I do think I know what you're saying though. Like I can sometimes, especially on those last ones, sometimes it gets a little sequential. You can kind of see the for loop, I assume is what's happening there. like that time kind of felt like it went around. But to the naked eye, thus far to me, it has seemed instantaneous. I almost wonder, do we really need the log one? Is 3 short blinks? Does that feel more... Yeah, I think I like 3 short blinks, actually. Does it... So if I go down... Okay, so that, yeah, that's not on currently, and it does not actually take effect until I release. And as soon as I release, we get 3 blinks. After the 3 blinks, we get actual Blinka turn. Which now feels almost painfully slow compared to the 250 milliseconds. Okay. Alright, I will be right back. I gotta run to the restroom. Okay. 3 shorts looks better here too. Nice. How's it going, Fetty 2? Good day to you over in Costa Rica. Alright. Let me validate the cooldown again. So I'm going to double press blue, and that's going to make us lose. And that second press, yeah, that second press we would have started again if not for the cooldown. So that looks like it's working. Okay. Let's get the high score in there. I've got a value for it, or a label rather, but we're not doing anything with it. In order to do that, I'm going to store it in... I'm going to store it in NVM. You know, it might be interesting to have the option to store it in Adafruit.io. Because I think Adafruit.io, you can have a feed where you just upload to it. Can you get requested? I think you can. That might be an interesting way to do it. I'm going to do NVM first. But maybe eventually we could have like an option. Maybe you could set it to Adafruit.io backed high score rather than... I mean, you know what I could... Like, ultimately, you could use Adafruit.io as a centralized high score server. Ooh, that would be kind of crazy. So I was imagining, like, personal high score. Like, you know, obviously NVM, that's just going to be this unit would show the high score. If we use Adafruit.io, it could actually be so different people could all be feeding to the same one. Of course, it's susceptible to, like, if you're trying to code it, and you're not, if it's not working right, maybe you send it the wrong value, and then everyone's high score is there. Get the last value. Okay, nice, yeah. So you could basically treat it as a, like a little storage for a number. Yeah, I don't think the global one I don't think would work very well because you have different people. First of all, you'd have to embed a key or something. But a personal one, like it could be part of the instructions for this project, like go to Adafruit.io, make a feed for a number, and then grab the token from it and, you know, paste it into this variable. And then if you set it to Adafruit.io true, it'll use that. Whenever it saves the high score, it'll publish a new value. And then whenever it loads up, it'll fetch the current value. It would require network, whereas NVM won't. But it's kind of an interesting, like, alternative way to do it. All right, I don't actually, even though I'm the person who made this, I don't actually remember the API off the top of my head. Where's repositories? Oh, I guess. Data. You know, actually, where I should steal the code from is the last game we made. Because in the last game we made, it would be basically the same logic. Which is, we'll load it the first time, and it will either be empty or it will have a value that we expect. Must be inside chomperlib, I guess. You could also have remote players participating. Maybe the game takes a max remote player ping and delays the lights on the physical game by that much. Oh, that'd be interesting. I mean, theoretically, you could have like a centralized server control the game. You could be playing at the same time as somebody else somewhere in the world doing the same sequence. That could be kind of fun. We want helper classes. I guess it's going to be chomperlib. Chomper game. Okay. So here's the little scheme we used last time, which was we store it as a list and we make the first item in the list be a hard-coded string that we know to look for. IO API supports asking for a time period. Asking for a time period. Interesting. I'm not sure what you mean asking for a time period. Like asking it how long it took to reply to you or something, or how long it took the message to get to you. I'm not sure what you mean. GG, move some rocks. Thanks for streaming. Yeah, for sure. Take it easy. Hope you have a nice day. Let's do this at the very beginning. I mean, we may as well do this before we set up any of the labels, because we could set the high score label based on the value we get. All right, so this was for one-dimensional chomper, 1DC high score. That was one-dimensional chopper high score, so I'm going to change it now to be Blinka says. I'll just say BLS, Blinka says high score. Fetch a feed data between two dates and times. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, nice. So you can like grab data in that window. That's pretty convenient. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I did not know that. That's really good for like sensors and stuff like that, being able to then do a chart that's like, you know, the last 5 minutes, and then another chart that's like the last hour, and another chart that's like the last day or whatever. It's good for being able to have those different windows. That's actually pretty convenient. Which means that, so in terms of the game here, you could have a high scoreboard that's like, you know, today's high score, or this week's high score, or whatever. It would depend on how many players. Like, if there are only 2 or 3 people in the world playing this game, then it's going to be a relatively lonely high scoreboard. But that would be cool to set up Adafruit.io to function in that capacity. You could even use that for non-CircuitPython games, honestly. Adafruit.io, it's got a REST API, so that could be any kind of game. All right. So to populate it, I mean, so we just did what? Read data 1. So, I think. I'm just going to do this. High score is none. So if it's an actual high score, then we go high score is read data 1. Read data, really, more than read data, but it's fine. Data 1. So high score gets put into there, and then when we create the high score value, we can go empty. If not, no, if high score is none, else high score. But that's not going to be a string, so we need to do string probably. It might be a string, actually. I don't know. No, it's totally going to be a number. Unless we change it to a string like that, but. Okay, so should have this if statement too. So we're going to say at the end of the game, if your current score is higher than the high score, then we will save a new high score. Player lost, that's right here. So let's do this before we reset the score. We definitely don't want to do that just yet. Let's do this right here. So our score is on game state. So if game state is greater than high score, or if high score is none. If we don't have a high score, or if the current value is bigger than the high score, then we're going to go NVM helper save. We will use the right value here, which was BLS HS, which I'm going to copy. That will be game state score, test run false, so that's going to save it, which means we'd be able to read it from there next time. should be all we need. It's pretty painless. Well, one more thing too that we want to do is set the so right now the only time we ever set the high score value is at the beginning when the program loads. We should also update it anytime the player beats it. So here we should also say high score value text string game state score. We should also go ahead and update high score to game state score. Oops. Oop. EOF error? Oh, right. We need to catch that. We must have been had that here too. Yeah, try catch EOF error. Totally. Just missed it. Okay, so read data. Whoops. Read data. I'm gonna try catch all of this. Alt T. No. Oh, Alt T. I don't know why there wouldn't be a try catch there. Usually that should have try catch in the list. And a bunch of other things that are code constructs instead of comments. We just did pass, nothing. Yeah, so if we don't have a high score, we just don't do anything. Still crashed? My score is not defined, 61. I'm checking if it's none. Is it not none when it doesn't? Not none because we failed to try catch. I scored none here, I guess. There we go. Okay. Blue. Blue. Yellow, red, yellow. Yellow, green, green, green. Green, yellow, yellow, green, red. Green, yellow, yellow, green, red. Blue, blue, green, blue, red, yellow. Blue, blue, green, blue, red, yellow. Yellow, blue, red, yellow, yellow, blue, blue. Yellow, blue, red, yellow, yellow, blue, blue? Holy crap. Red, I missed it. Red, green, yellow, red, I already missed it. Green, green. Green, was it green, green? It was, and then yellow? Oh, we died. Probably the high score writing failed. Local variable 154. The high score problem again. I mean, I guess we could put it on game state. I don't know why, though. That's weird. Shouldn't it be none? Like, we just created it as none. High score none. So high score none is here. Did I misspell it? Is it not? Is it spelled wrong? I don't get that. I guess the scope is not working how I think. To me, this looks like outer level, which I would have thought meant everything else in here had access to it. But it's looking like that's not actually the case. So we know that we have access to game state inside of there because we're doing other stuff with game state. Because like part of this is Python just treats like, oh, this thing is on this thing. Well, that's clearly different than just being a variable by itself. So I know things that are on other things have different rules that make them more visible. Maybe we need to just put that on to game state. But then but we're not creating game state all the way until here. But I guess we could be, right? There's no reason. No reason this can't be back there. Is there? Well, is that going to make game state not available? Maybe that's going to make game state. Why is high score not working? Do we need to do global? Okay, let me go much shorter this time. Let's get a couple of points and then. There we go. Green, blue. Green, red, green, green. Yellow, green, blue, red. Blue, red, red, yellow, yellow, red. Oh, I missed it. Is it yellow, yellow? I don't know. But our new high score is 24. Got game over. Able to start. We get to 0. Let me just lose on the first one. Don't update the high score now because we didn't beat it. And if I reset, our high score of 24 should still be there. Sweet. All right. I think I'm just going to stop there for now. It's a little bit early, but I don't necessarily have anything else in mind that's bite-sized to try to tackle. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to head out for now. Thank you, everybody, for watching and hanging out in the chat. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. I'll be back on Friday again next week for deep dive. So Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Friday over on the Adafruit channel. And then back here on Saturday at the usual time, 10 a.m. Central, for my own stream. Thanks again, and so long. I'll catch you later.